Short and sweet.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start the Monday, October 23rd, 2023 Wilson County Court. Time is 9 a.m. Before we begin, we'll have Commissioner Martin lead us in a prayer, and then following with the Pledge of Allegiance.
You bow your heads and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we're blessed to be in your presence today. Lord, we know that throughout the world today there are many who are being persecuted because of wars and actions by terrorists and unkept leaders. And Father, we just ask that you bless the Jews and the people in Ukraine as they continue to be attacked by these ruthless people. And Father, we just thank you for everything that you have blessed us with. Lord, you have blessed this county well with good citizens and a good court. And Father, we just ask that everything that we do is taken into your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, for the minutes also, we make note that we do have a quorum with a full court. Do we have anyone signed up for public comments? We move to agenda item number 4 for certificates and completions of award. We'll read into the minutes. Criminal Justice Information Services Security and Privacy Training goes to Colton Ross. Security and Privacy Privileged Role, and Colton, are you here? Welcome. That's our new assistant information technology guy, right under John. We're glad you're here. I have a certificate of completion, again, for Colton Ross, and I'm not sure what that's about. 3CX? Phone system? Maybe we can get a better one. I can't understand anybody on that phone. We'll put those in the record. We move to agenda item number 5. It is the Western Surety Company official bond and oath for our new appointed county court at law, Judge Tina Hartman. And I think it's pretty explanatory, Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion for this agenda item number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve the bond of Christina Cornali Hartman.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Aiken, with a close third by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Thank you.
So how's court so far?
Judge, you want to come on up and address the court?
So I got sworn in on October 9th, and October 10th, we had our first court date. We had a couple pleas that day and arraignments, and then last week we had our first jury trial and got a verdict in. So we've hit the ground running and are doing good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
And I'm very glad you're here.
Thank
You're
you.
smiling a lot.
Yes, we're going to keep it that way. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Judge. Agenda item number 6. We have Michelle King, Development Director, discuss and take action on allowing the Children's Alliance of South Texas, a child advocacy center, to use 2 to 3 pole lights for our upcoming Floresville Trunk or Treat, a free community event, Saturday, October 28th. The event time is 6 to 8 p.m. Do we have anybody here to address that? Okay. I don't know if they're going to need 3 of those lights that we have from the county. I think 2 will do it. They're going to do it in the parking lot across from, you know where the Children's Alliance is at, right? Right behind behind the library, there's a big parking lot. I think 2 is sufficient.
Talking about the generator lights that we have? Is
yes.
that what you're talking about? Okay.
Is it across the street?
It's
Yeah,
a big
in
parking
there.
lot right there.
Parking lot.
Okay.
I think 2's plenty. Well, if they need 3, that's fine. But
Just let us
they've
know.
asked permission. Did we get the other one back that was here? Was that yours?
His is still sitting there.
Still here?
Okay.
Okay, I think they're still gonna do some power washing, and that's why they need it, and they're not through yet. Is that right, Brenda?
I believe they just finished on Friday, so.
Okay. Okay. All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 6.
I'll make a motion to allow the Children's Alliance of South Texas to use some of our portable lights for the Trunk or Treat Festival on Saturday, October 28th.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 7, we have Mallory Deason, County Commissioner's Administrative Assistant, discuss and take action on allowing the use of Wilson County Expo Center for the November 18th, 2023. It starts at 8 a.m. to noon collections event with the San Antonio River Authority. Ms. Deason, you have the floor. Who?
So I'll speak
Okay.
on behalf.
All right.
So I got a ticket last time, and basically San Antonio River Authority's gonna come out, set all their trailers up, and they'll collect medications that are not being used at the very front, so that can be properly disposed of. Any type of oils or chemicals, they'll collect that as well, so we can get them out of the county, as well as tires for the people, the residents of the county. These tires, we will not have anybody from a tire company bringing tires out. They will get turned around, they'll get moved back out.
And
And
only
appliances.
car and truck tires,
Car-
not semis or,
Yep, car and truck tires, regular vehicle, not a semi or a tractor tire.
Who's going to supervise that, Commissioner?
Great question.
well, Sarah
So
does.
Sarah
They do.
supervises it all. And in the past, it was one commissioner running it with the tire area. So I don't know whose turn it is this year, but everything should be going through Mallory. She should be in touch with Sarah and getting all
You
the
said you
information.
did it last time, correct?
I did, yes, sir.
So I don't know if it just.
If we go numerically, it'd be on you.
Precinct 3
Yes,
would
sir.
be my turn to,
So,
So they go through
we
the,
always need all the help we can get. It's a
they
lot of
don't,
work.
they don't drive through the building, they collect it outside?
No, it's all
no.
outside. It's
They'll-
all
yeah.
outside.
all
everything
outside.
comes around the building.
They take old
nothing inside.
batteries, computers, TVs, any type of electronics,
Yep.
paint.
They'll take anything that
Herbicides, pesticides.
we can clean up the county with, yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 7.
I'll make a motion to, what was it? Allow the Wilson County Expo Center for November 18th for the Sarah cleanup for Wilson County.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Paradolo on agenda item number 7. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to agenda item number 8. We have Brenda Trevino, County Auditor, presentation of fiscal year 21-22 external financial audit by Armstrong, Vaughn and Associates. Ms. Trevino, you want to use that microphone there, or?
Judge, after months of delay, the audit for fiscal year 21-22 was to be presented today by Armstrong and Bond, but no one is here to present it, so I'm not sure where they are. I did get a draft copy of it that I had sent to all of you, but I'm not sure where she's at.
Okay, so what do we need to do about moving on to another more credible auditor than this one?
So this would be the third year that we've been with them, and with our financial policies and procedures that were presented to you and accepted in court back in July. I'm to review auditors every 3 years. So I had since received a price from the auditor, external auditor that Atascosa and Frio uses, and I will be presenting that to the court for approval next month. And that, they'll start the audit in late December, early January, and have committed to having it completed to me by no later than mid-April. And typically, an annual audit is to be completed no later than June 1st. There's been significant delay with, so
This-
the audit that you're going to end up seeing at some point is 21, 22, when 3 of you were not in office anyway. So then we're going to be starting 9/30/23's audit in January, so.
Have they given any reason?
They started the audit in February of this year, and then they had significant staff reduction. And then that was the delay, or that was the reasoning that they provided to us, so. Christine and I have been updating, or getting updates from them every month, but
So just so that the court knows and the citizens know that are listening, how many times have they committed that they were going to have this completed? What were the dates? I think back in June it was supposed to be?
I believe it was it was started in June, and then I had a commitment in July, and then in August, and then September. And then the primary principal who was overseeing the audit, when I received the last email from him stating that it was not completed and that he was going to work on it, I reached out to Ms. Frazier, who is the principal, and she worked over the weekend to get the draft completed for us. So,
Okay.
Or have much faith in what they're gonna give us?
Yeah.
For me, it would be anyway.
And where does it put us in compliance issues?
well, annually, it's required annually. My concern was not receiving it in a timely manner because a lot of our funders for grants require our financial statements from the year prior.
Past information.
Fortunately, it's only one funder that's been requesting it, which is Broadus. And I did send him the draft, even though it had not been presented to court yet, because it was delaying our progression of that grant application. So I did send it to Broadus last week, Thursday, when I received it. Yeah, that's why I'm glad that we put it in our financial policies, that it's, required no later than 6 months past the end of your fiscal period. But I prefer like a 3 or 4 month mark. Typically, end of March, beginning of April is when you should see it on a regular basis, so.
So do we have any recourse, or we just sit here and wait for them?
No, I mean, the draft is completed, and it's readily available to be presented to you. It's not finalized until it's presented to the court. Everything looks good in the audit itself, based on what Christine and I, there are some glitches that, are being corrected, but in terms of a financial standpoint, the county had a really great year. But I don't want to speak on behalf of the audit because I didn't do the audit, they did, so,
Okay. Were they supposed to be here today?
at 9. So I'm not sure. So maybe she'll show up, I don't know.
If she doesn't, then we need to have this revisited for the next meeting.
Yes.
We can make a motion to table this.
Well, that doesn't, there's no action on it, it was just a presentation. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 9. Again, Ms. Trevino, our county auditor, to discuss and take action on resolution of the ACOG Regional Solid Waste Grant Program.
Judge, did you want me to read the resolution, or?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. So this is the ACOG Regional Solid Waste Grant application that just came out. The application is due this week on the 27th. We have Ascend working on it based on the recommendation and consideration request from Commissioner King to purchase a piece of equipment for our collection facility. Yes, sir. We were awarded the solid waste grant, this grant application 3 years ago, and that's when we extended the concrete area, created a new slab at the collection facility, and so this is more funding that came out. So we're going to request your permission to submit the application. Resolution of the County of Wilson authorizing the filing of a grant application with the Alamo Area Council of Governments, ACOG, for a Regional Solid Waste Grants Program grant. authorizing Henry L. Whitman, County Judge, to act on behalf of the County of Wilson in all matters related to the application, and pledging that if a grant is received, the County of Wilson will comply with the grant requirements of the Alamo Area Council of Governments, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and the State of Texas. Whereas the Alamo Area Council of Governments is directed by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, to administer solid waste grant funds for implementation of the COG's adopted Regional Solid Waste Management Plan. And whereas the County of Wilson in the state of Texas is qualified to apply for grant funds under the request for applications. Now therefore be it resolved by the County of Wilson in Floresville, Texas, 1, that Henry L. Whitman, County Judge, is authorized to request grant funding under ACOG's request for applications of the Regional Solid Waste Grants Program, and to act on behalf of the County of Wilson in all matters related to the grant application and any subsequent grant contract and grant project that may result. 2, that if the project is funded, the County of Wilson will comply with the grant requirements of ACOG, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and the State of Texas. 3, the grant funds and any grant-funded equipment or facilities will be used only for the purposes for which they are intended under the grant. 4, that activities will comply with and support the adopted regional and local solid waste management plans adopted for the geographical area in which the activities are performed. Passed and approved by Commissioners Court of Wilson County in Floresville, Texas on this 23rd day of October 2023.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 9.
Make a motion to accept the resolution for ACOG Regional Solid Waste Grant Program.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other discussion on the agenda item number 9? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Just so we know, do we have a cost on what that new grinder is?
So they sent me the wrong one, so I'm waiting for them to update that, but we do have that cost. And I can pull it up here.
That's all right. You can let me know later.
What's that?
So you can let me know later.
We move to agenda item number 10. Again, Ms. Brenda Trevino, our county auditor, discuss and take possible action on a proven recommendation from ARPA Committee to purchase new software for the county clerk, district clerk, county attorney, and county sheriff's offices.
Thank you, Judge. On October 9th, the American Rescue Plan Second Committee met to give an update on where we were with our ARPA funds and to come up with additional recommendations for the court. One of the recommendations being made by the ARPA committee is to update software that's needed for outdated software. Currently, the county clerk, district clerk, sheriff's office, and county attorney's office all utilize net data. And so the request is for the county attorney's office to switch to Carpel, which you don't have that copy of the contract. I just checked with Mallory. It was 30-something pages, so I don't think she printed copies for you. But that total is $70,600. And then for the 2 clerks and the sheriff's department, it is EDOC, which is the copy that you have in your binders. I believe it's for $24,600. After review of the contracts and an explanation given regarding the request to move to these two softwares, it will be a savings to the county after the first implementation cost yearly on about $58,000 annually. So the request is to use the ARPA funding to pay for the installation of the new software.
My understanding that this software really will help the entire system in the county out more than we have now. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's my understanding that the software will communicate with Spillman software, which is what the sheriff currently uses, and then our county clerk can speak on the clerk's behalf on what they're using it for, or how it will speak.
And I
but-
understand the county attorney's office also was with the research on this, and it would help y'all tremendously, correct?
Yes, it is quite an advancement. I know Tom had a couple of questions that I was going to look into
Okay. And I think on the ARPA committee, Commissioner, that was one of the top items, right?
Yes.
To resolve? Okay.
Yes, we discussed several things due to the lower, well, this is roughly $100,000, so due to the lower cost and the need. Part of the problem is some of the softwares we have don't talk to each other, so you have to do data entry twice. And so it'll also, there'll probably be some unrealized savings and people have more time to do other things in the clerk's offices.
Yes. And I believe the ARPA committee was recommending up to $200,000 for the implementation because we weren't sure exactly with how many licensed users each one was going to take. So what you have before you is a little over 100,000, I believe. So it give or take some.
Last question. John, you good with researching what you've seen on this, sir?
Yes, I did,
Can you,
wanna
co-
clarify.
yeah, come on up to the podium.
Sheriff's office, the sheriff's office currently is not using NetData anymore. They have switched to Spillman Flex. However, this will, my understanding, be capable of interfacing with NetData, and that's the dual entry issue that Commissioner Martin was speaking to previously. And again, unrealized savings in the amount of time spent with the double entry effort will be, I think, significant. So definitely we're excited about it and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, John. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 10.
And I have one more question.
Oh, go ahead,
So,
sir.
I guess the EDOC, have you looked at, I mean, I don't know that, there's no contract really with this one. Is there?
Yes, and they have both, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that. They both have been reviewed by the county attorney, and Tom's been going back and forth between EDOC and Carpel to get both of them
Answered.
answered, yes. And so I thought that was the actual contract, I don't see it on there, so I'll print both of them to have the judge sign.
And that's true. I've seen Mr. Caldwell's emails back and forth
Yeah.
with him, so he's been
Judges
back and
do that,
forth
yeah.
with him, so, no, they're working that out.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of EDOC Tech software and Carpel software pending the completion of the recommendations from the county attorney's office on the contracts.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion on agenda item number 10? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 11, we have Jim Stewart, our county sheriff, Sheriff's Office Monthly Progress Report. Morning. Morning, sir.
This one's real thick and kind of long-winded, but basically, that's an outline of everything that we do in the sheriff's office as far as the patrol side. I guess the main thing to pay attention to is the total number of calls we make, which has been running somewhere right around 1,000. We had one month there at 1,200. But they are busy every day. Couple other items in there that I think draw attention is that our more aggressive, I think, approach to the animal running loose, that those numbers have come down in the last 3 months. September, I think we only had like 16 animal complaints. And then the other stuff on there that I think really needs attention is our the proactive side, which is our patrol buys, security checks, that we do in order to run by businesses and locations that have historical criminal activity. And we log all that stuff, make sure that the officers are aware of where our problems are. But if you go through that, if you have any questions on anything specific, just give me a call.
So I want to address this because this is an issue for all of us sitting here in the court, and that's the animal control part.
Right.
I know we've received emails and phone calls from people out in the rural areas, not in the cities so much, but about dogs running wild and killing livestock. And just want everybody to know, we realize that. We're trying to see what kind of grant funding we can get, because just to cost that out is tremendous. I've talked to the other counties, and it's a headache for them. It's not
Yes.
unique to Wilson County.
No, it is not. And it's an issue, we just need to find a way to try to attack it in some manner.
And
That's
We just
affordable
want to
for
know
us.
from the court and the sheriff's office, it's not anything that we're not taking lightly. We're
Right.
trying to
And we're
solve
not,
this
and we're
problem.
not, and like I said, I think our approach changed 3 or 4 months ago to how we deal with the ones that we do encounter. And I think the word's getting around because those numbers are going down. So I think we have had an effect on the people letting their animals run loose. But of course, it's not going away, and it's not going to go away entirely.
And those same pack of dogs that they were talking about in those apps came right back through my backyard. I know I witnessed it, and we had neighbors trying to chase them down, and they went everywhere. So we're not immune to it either.
Nope, we are not.
Sheriff, I have a question. Out on
Yes, sir.
232, we've got someone that has a bunch of goats, and they've got signs up that say free-range goats, and they're running loose all over the road. Is that legal?
Nope. Not in this county, not since we closed it.
They don't have a fence, and they've got 15 or 20 goats that are running all over the road.
And that's kind of weird that I have not seen, because now that you bring that, I look at everything, every call we get every day. I have not seen anybody report them goats out that I know of.
They're running loose.
If you'll just text me or whatever the address, I'll get somebody to go by and talk to them, make them start keeping them in.
The old town there and 334.
Right.
Right this
What
side
year
of
did that
334.
change?
Ooh,
Oh, that's been quite a few years ago
Yeah.
now.
2005 or somewhere around.
It's been
Texas
quite a few
used to be
years ago
free
that we
range and you
closed,
had to
and
box 'em
basically, we're
out.
not an open range county
Well, I
anymore.
think there's
Not
some
open
places in West Texas still have open range, but
Yes.
not
But
here.
it was approved, the county did it.
Yes,
It was in an election.
yep,
It was in an election, but it's been a number of years ago, between
Right.
close range, yeah.
because now you fence in, not fence out.
Yeah, they have signs up that say caution free-range goats, and they have no fence, and they're running everywhere.
Just send me the address, we'll take care of that one. And then, I think it was last Commissioners Court, y'all approved the application for the grant for OLS. That other piece of paper right there, that is what we have got as a benefit from OLS in just, 9 months of this year. That is what the 2 officers that I have assigned, plus any overtime work by some of my other deputies, that's what they've accomplished in this county and other counties, because I think we show outside operations of 22 on that sheet right there. We've done outside the county operations, they've got 22 of them in 9 months, but that's what they do every day. They're out there every day. They're averaging almost 1 felony arrest a day, or 1.5.
This is not a complaint, but it's a kind of good news. I see nothing on fentanyl, which the word may be getting out.
And I don't understand why we don't seem to have an issue with that here. I think there's a couple of those meth arrests that did test positive also for fentanyl in them, but we didn't show the fentanyl because it was the overwhelming part was the meth. But yes, we do not contact that here right now for whatever reason.
So these figures are not just for Wilson County, it's in the task force area, right?
That is Wilson County plus that is my guys' numbers, but wherever they're working. So
Okay.
if they were out of the county in a task force, those numbers are in there. But probably conservatively, 80% of those numbers, we're getting that benefit in the county.
I'm also surprised that the cocaine, they didn't get any cocaine.
It's zero. Cocaine is almost a non-factor anymore.
Okay.
Meth bolted up.
Yep.
Right now, meth and
Number
heroin
one, yeah.
are probably the biggest. I keep looking for us to start seeing the fentanyl, but we haven't yet.
Is it, when you measure that, is that 145.6? It says grams.
Yes,
It's 145.6 grams.
yes.
Okay.
And I guess I'll give you a little update. I talked to Brenda about this just a few minutes ago. I think I talked to you last week. I know I emailed you. We're going to look into the food service for the jail. We're going to look into it. I think that's a professional service. I may not have to come to here to get bids. And if we can, we will look into it.
got your email on
because-
it, yeah,
Because I think it would be a big savings in the cost of running the jail if I could.
Who we
get that.
doing it with right now?
Right now, I use Cisco and Labatt are my two biggest providers, but there's 3 companies out there. I think Benny Keith, Cisco, and then Lone Star or 5 Star is another vendor that they will bid you per plate, per day. All I do is give them a deal, and if we do it that way, they say that they can save us quite a bit of money, upwards of $100,000 a year in food costs.
Good.
I was just gonna ask, Ms. Evelyn, if she wouldn't mind looking into, because I believe that would be considered a professional service, but I wanted you to verify because it's items being purchased, but they're a service that they're providing the county, so, which would prevent us, sheriff is getting multiple bids, but prevent us from having to go out through the formal bid process. So if you can just double check that for me, yeah. Okay.
Do we have a limit on that, like we do everything else on professional?
So for $50,000 is, if it's not
Not
considered a professional service.
Okay.
Yeah. If it is, we don't have to.
Deal.
Refresh my memory, CVE,
Commercial vehicle enforcement,
commercial vehicle enforcement. I was sitting there trying to think of it. Okay.
that's what my traffic guy does.
In highway, well, in DPS, it used to be license and weight. Now they changed the name, so.
Yes, used to be license and weight. Basically check big trucks.
You put L&W, I would have clicked it.
There you go. Anything else?
Old days.
Any other questions, Sheriff?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir. Move to agenda item number 12. We have Ms. Dawn Barnett, County Tax Assessor Collector, County Tax Assessor Collector Monthly Report. Ms. Barnett? Good morning.
Good morning. So I've been doing these reports for quite some time, but I've never actually brought them to Commissioners Court. The judge suggested that I start doing this monthly. So y'all should have before you the August and September reports. So the August report, do you want me to go over all of the numbers, Judge? Or,
Wow, that'd be a lot of them. Whatever you think is,
Hit the highlights.
hit the high,
okay,
there you go.
well,
That'd be the
so
biggest part.
August, on the tax side of my office, the total collected was $757,072.67. We issued $21,059.94 in refunds. The fees.
Why does somebody get a refund?
Refunds can be anything from they overpay their taxes, or when they go to the appraisal district to apply for exemptions, it produces a refund and my office processes those refunds. That's where the majority of the refunds come from. Fees collected is anything from tax certificates to TABC. There's a variety of different fees. So we collected $550. For the total amount paid out to the taxing entities was $736.562.73, and that's for all of the taxing entities within the county. Total transactions processed were $6,898. For the auto side of the office, total amount paid to Wilson County for road and bridges was $48,910. Total amount paid to commissions payable for the auto side was $17,689.25. Young Farmer, which is a $5 fee for transactions, was $450. And the total amount paid out to the state comptroller for sales tax was $992,731.66. So the total collected on the DMV side was $1,059,780.91 with 6,394 transactions. Texas Parks and Wildlife, we collected $11,223.18 and processed 60 transactions. So the total amount for August that went through my office was $1,828,76.76, and the total amount of transactions for August was $13,352. So September, tax side, total collected was $617,107.20. Refunds were $33,046.82. Fees were $955. For for the total amount for the tax side was $585,1538, and 8,867 transactions. For the auto side, road and bridge was $44,580. Auto commission was $14,567.65. Young farmer was $310. State comptroller, $881,333.24. The total collected on the DMV side was $940,790.89, with 5,671 transactions. Texas Parks and Wildlife was $12,764.96, and we did 31 transactions for a total of $1,570,663.05 and 14,569 transactions. Just want to give you all a little update. We are in full swing with the tax office. Tax statements went out earlier this year than they ever have before, which has made a tremendous impact on the amount of traffic coming through our office. It's been extremely busy. So I know drive-through's been busy, everything's been busy over there. So if you make a trip to the tax office, there will be a waiting period. So, be patient with us. We do have new employees that we're currently trying to train too. Couldn't come at a worse time, but that's life. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. We move to agenda item number 13. We have Ms. Luz Cerato, our interim permitting and development director. We're going to start with 13A1, pipeline crossing permit, permit 151, Recoil Services Precinct 2, County Road 205, review and approve. Ms. Cerato, you have the floor.
Yes, good morning. I believe Mr. Tice has been in communication with Commissioner King. This will be a double bore on County Road 205 for both oil and gas. And everything looks good on their paperwork, and their fee has been paid for, so.
Yeah, so there's just one underneath 205 going along from one well to another. And I've talked to Mr. Thies a couple times about this. I'll make a motion to accept permit 151 Recoil Resources for County Road 205.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Martin, regarding agenda item number 13A1.
Okay.
Is there, sorry? Yeah, okay. Is there any other discussion regarding 13A1? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to agenda item 13B, non-standard plats variances. And we're going to do the B1 first, and then we'll move to the others 2, 3, and 4 on the next motion. All right, so 13B1, Anita, it's County Road 126, 2432 Precinct 1, Anita Savage. All right.
Okay, so all these were approved by the review committee. Ms. Anita Savage owns 10 acres and is retiring from her current job and is looking for some financial relief and plans to sell 2 acres out of that, and that's what the variance, proposed variance was for. And like I said, this was approved. She did have all her utility letters. She had all information that was required from her for this proposed variance.
I have a question. So procedurally, I guess they followed our procedures, but I guess normally when something like this is going to happen, usually there's an opportunity for the residents of that subdivision to comment on that. And I'm just wondering, are we doing everything we're supposed to do? I mean, because I know the covenants and restrictions for this subdivision said you couldn't do this without approval of Commissioner's Court.
That's correct.
So, Ms. Huron, did you have any?
No, I mean, these individuals have to submit their application with their, the information that shows that they qualify and are eligible for the variance, and then the committee reviews it. And if they find, I mean, the committee before has often denied this and granted it based on the regulations. So when it does come to Commissioners Court, it has been reviewed by the committee, and
Yes, and for this instance, she did provide her covenants and restrictions. They didn't have an active homeowners association, but I have a letter from her signed stating that there was none in existence.
Right.
So it really just comes down to Commissioners Court whether this would be approved.
I think also, I had spoken with Tammy a while back ago when she was there about revising the application form to make sure that it's more thorough, that if there are covenants and restrictions, they need to attach them, as well as provide more detailed information as to why they think they're eligible for this variance, and that if it's incomplete, or the application is incomplete, it's just denied, it's not even taken to the review.
I definitely agree. The application is not very user-friendly. A lot of the questions that are on the variance application don't really apply to any information we really need to know. So I do suggest that we revise that application.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because I'm just stated, no, it won't impact anybody. I mean, and that's their biased, non-objective comment, you know. And I think it's an appropriate question, but I think that our staff needs to evaluate that for themselves. I mean, I think you could leave that question on there, for example, but then maybe have a space on the bottom for staff review where somebody drives out and,
And it never really says on the application, like, what is the parent track and how much you're separating. So information like that, I think, should be on the application. I think it would be helpful, just to keep track of that information. If it is on there, it's usually because I ask for it, but not because it's asking for it.
right?
Yeah, we can look into doing that. I'll think about getting a new application developed and worked on that's a little more thorough, because you're right, it's just going to impact them. They don't know that if they know.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, as far as the homeowners associations go, I mean, this is a problem in a lot of the older subdivisions, is that they never formed one, they never had one. There's nobody there to enforce. Some of them, you know, kind of have a quasi, but the people don't understand that it's up to them. And that's why I was concerned about how do, and I guess that's more for cities. But I'm concerned that maybe sometimes neighborhoods don't know what's going on. Somebody just walks in and fills in an application. And I don't, as long as we're following whatever we're statutorily required to do, I got no problem with it. But,
Yeah, at this point in time, I do ask for their covenants and restrictions, their subdivision plat, and if there's a homeowners association, I ask that they have a letter from the president of the homeowners association agreeing that this split is okay. So this one's in your precinct, sir.
yeah, right. Well, and I mean, and I bring this up because we had one not too long ago where, and again, I'm going to make this point, where that information was not required. In my opinion, it was a violation of the covenants and restrictions, and yet we approved it. And I think that puts the county in a liability position, and I want to make sure we avoid that.
I agree. I would love to speak to you about some other ones that have come up here recently.
But
All right.
are we bound by covenants?
Yes, we are, if it provides that there will be no variance granted, or there will be no subdividing, if it's in violation of the covenants and restrictions, then we cannot be approving those variances.
All this research is
In this
done.
particular instance I'm talking about, they put a third residence and it said you could only have two. But there's no homeowners association to enforce it, so it would have to be enforced civilly by the neighbors.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, we shouldn't have approved it because it was a violation of the covenants and restrictions. It said you could only have two residences.
Not familiar with that one, so I'd probably have to go back and look at that one.
I can tell you where it is.
Okay. Yeah, because I usually try to read through all the covenants and restrictions just to make sure that we abide by them. I know ultimately it's the applicant's.
I think because we're getting so many of these, it's time to step up our ability to make sure we got everything the way that it's supposed to be.
I agree.
However, in this case, I think everything is legal and appropriate. So I'll make a motion to approve the plat variance for County Road 126, 2432 in Precinct 1 with Anita Savage.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King regarding agenda item 13B1. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move now to 13B2, Hummingbird Lane, 1135 Precinct 4, Troy Balcar. All right, ma'am, go ahead.
So Mr. Balcar was at the meeting to represent himself. He owns 3.17 acres and plans, he owns a house on the 1.86, and they're trying to downsize. They are now empty nesters. So they plan on selling the home with the 1.86 acres and keeping the remaining 1.31 to build a smaller home on. He does have a homeowners association. They did sign off on this, and he did present his covenants and restrictions for it. And he had all his appropriate utility letters and everything that he needed really for this variance.
And the committee recommended it.
Yes, and like I said, these were all previously approved by the review committee.
Is there's a septic tank shown on the 1.31 acres. That does not serve the residents where they're keeping the property. Is that correct?
Correct. That septic tank is where he had an RV park,
Okay.
where he parked his RV at. to
Well,
dump.
he should have shown where the septic is on his property too, because there probably should be a setback on that.
There is,
On the 1.31 acres, the septic, is that the one you're speaking of?
Yeah, so where's the septic for his house then?
we did ask him that.
The one for his house, I do not see on his survey.
Not near the property line?
No, it's nowhere near the property line.
Okay.
It's not possible that he's using that one that's already existing there?
The one that's existing right there is where he parked his.
Yeah,
RV.
but could he have gone, is it just too far away from
Oh,
the
it's
house?
too, yeah, it's too far, and I believe he had said something about it being near the front of his
Yeah, it
house.
was by that shed.
It would probably be in the area of the Stone Pond, if I had to guess, but I wasn't there for the meeting.
Or beyond it?
But he did state in the meeting that he had a septic system that.
Yes, he does have a septic system for his house. It's a pretty large house, so.
Okay, regarding agenda item 13B2, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the Hummingbird Lane 1135 as far as granting a variance.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Akins, seconded by Commissioner Perdola. Is there any other discussion? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. We
Mr.
move to-
Aiken, this is in your precinct, so I'm going to hand this over to you.
We move now to 13B3, FM 775, 6766, Precinct 3, Matthew and Krista Gorzel.
So both Gorzels were at the meeting. They were very thorough with their application. They weren't able to get utility letters from SS Water, even though they had paid for a meter application, which wasn't really needed anyway. They do have existing water service, and they have a well on their property. So they own this property, but they have relocated to, I believe, Poth. So they are looking to sell the house that's located on the property, with 2.98 acres, and keep the 18.25 to roam their cattle in. So this is pretty much just them selling their home so they can live in the home they've purchased in Poth.
The committee reviewed this, so I'll make a motion that we approve it, and I'll also note that SS Water tried to force them to put a second meter on the property, and the property actually wraps around the house and the property they're selling. It has a meter on it, and they were trying to force them to put a second meter on it, even though the property is contentious.
Yeah, they do not plan on putting any homes on there. They just, we're gonna use it for agriculture purposes. But they did pay for that meter anyway.
They did pay for a second meter.
Yes, sir.
Just curious, what does that run them?
I'm sorry?
What does that cost for a second meter?
I think they have that paperwork in here.
Didn't they say a couple of meetings ago, like 4,500?
I
Yeah,
want to say it's like 4,700, isn't it?
Oh, that was the letter.
The letter's only, the letter's
Yeah, it's not.
4,500.
yeah, I know they have it in here somewhere, but it's, oh, here it is. No, that's the receipt. I believe they did say it was about $4,500 for that extra meter.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for 13B3. I'm sorry, we already have a motion made by Commissioner. All right, very good, thank you. We have a motion made by Commissioner Paradola, second by Commissioner King. We have any other discussion? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move now to 13B4, Hidden Deer, 413 Precinct 3, Miguel Morales.
Commissioner Perdola, I'm going to give you this. So Mr. Morales was also at our meeting. He owns 10 acres off of Hidden Deer, 413 Hidden Deer. And he is graciously giving 2.18 acres of his property to a recently widowed friend of the family. She currently lives in Rockport and is selling her house there. So he is giving her this property so that she will be within distance to, I guess, stay in contact and take care of each other. And he did present his covenants and restrictions. He is in a subdivision. I believe they were outdated already, the restrictions. They went with the land for 20 years, but even then, he produced a letter stating that there's no current homeowners association.
And it was reviewed and approved by the committee as well.
Yes, sir.
Anyone have questions or discussion before I make a motion?
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variance, 413 Hidden Deer.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Paradola, second by Commissioner King regarding agenda item 13B4. Any other discussion? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move now to agenda item number
Do I sign here where there's no line or anything, or do I need to sign?
Would you just review it, maybe would do me a favor and sign next to my name, just to the official committee?
Okay.
We move to 13C, present the new implemented rules and procedures to conduct regular, special, and emergency meetings of the Development Review Committee. It doesn't say anything about an action item, or you just want to present this, right?
Yes, I just wanted to make the court aware that we did implement
Okay.
some regulations and procedures for our review committee. I think they were in dire need, and it helped keep structure to our meetings, especially when we have people coming and doing public comments. And just a quick synopsis of our procedures. It's informational, but just letting the people know that they have 3 minutes to speak on their topic. And it puts a restraint on only 10 people, the first 10 people that sign up to do a public comment, just so that public comments don't go over 30 minutes of our review committee. And in this procedure, they address the committee, but they do not ask the committee for questions.
So it's similar to the way we do here.
Similar to what we do here, just, and we didn't have any of it noted down, so I just thought that we could implement something like this for a review committee.
If they stay on task and not get off.
Absolutely. But I believe everybody should have a copy of them, and if anybody doesn't, then I'm more than happy to send those to them.
Didn't we change the meeting date to the, whatever it is?
Yes, sir, the
Thursday
first,
instead of Tuesday, because this one says Tuesday.
it's Tuesday.
It's back to Tuesday?
It's the first, no, it used to be Thursday, now it's the first Tuesday of
Moved
the
it to
month.
Tuesday, okay.
Yes, sir. And if there's ever any changes, then usually we send out a memo beforehand with plenty of time. And we call everybody that has agenda items on there. I'm sorry?
Why was it moved from Thursday to Tuesday?
I think it conflicted with one of the committee members' calendar. I think that's how that started. So,
You've reviewed these?
I did.
Okay.
yeah, all these were taken from the Texas Open Meeting Act. Is that it?
Thank you, Ms.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Judge, Mr. Vino said that the auditor from Raymond K. Vaughn is downstairs.
Did you want her to still present, or do you want her to come back?
I didn't understand the first question.
Item 8, she's here to prove it. Okay, this is her right here.
Did you want her to still?
Okay.
What item?
I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules to move back to agenda item number 8.
Motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion passes. We now move back to agenda item number 8. We have a representative from Armstrong, Vaughn and Associates. What's the name of the? Debbie Frazier. Debbie Frazier, okay.
Are you going to keep that copy? Well, this was yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
So were they given copies of this on Wednesday? Okay.
Got an extra, if Christina needs it. I'll let you off. You can leave it behind whenever you.
Okay, I apologize for being late. I had it on my calendar as 10, so I thought I was early, which is no excuse. I would like to tell you this is in draft form. We are waiting on one thing, and it is a response to one of the material weaknesses, the only material weakness. And that has to go on the report because you did have a single audit. So if you turn to page 1, this is the discussion draft. And this basically says, page 1 of the bound report, not the letters. So the bound, this report, yeah. This basically says, after adjustments, your financial statements are fairly stated and materially correct. If you turn to the basic financial statements, which begin on page 14 and 15, this is your statement of net position. And I realize some of you are new, but what the statement of net position is, it's a full accrual basis of your financial statements. So it includes all debt, all fixed assets, property and equipment, your pension, liabilities, assets, and then your deferred outflows and inflows. The good thing this year is if you go to page 14 and you go midway down to net pension asset, it's 2.1 million. And that's really important because typically it's a liability. And because of the investment that TCDRS has invested your money in on 12/31/2021, you had an increase in investment of 6.5 million. I'm sorry, yeah, 6.5 million. And so your pension fund is 106% funded. That's not true to most cities or counties. So you basically, this is a very good yay moment because you are 106% funded. Now I'm going to tell you it probably went down 12/31/22 because on that last day of the year, investment was down. So if you want to see more details, that's on 57 and 58. And this gives you a 8-year, 8 of the last plan years. So the TCDRS program ends on a calendar year, and it's the calendar year before your year end. And if you look at the fourth line up, you'll see that last year you were 2 million, you had a 2 million liability. So you had a swing of about 4.1 million. And that really is due to investment income. And that number is probably midway down the page, 6.5 million. Another important number to look at is you have the third line up and just go across, and you'll see that you've been in the 90s all except for, or 90% funded, all except for 1 year in 2018. You were 87.8% funded, and then in 2021, you are up to 106% funded. So again, that's a very positive note. There also is a note that gives you very detailed information in the financial statements, and that's note H, and I won't go over that. So your total assets at the end of the year were 42.3 million. Of that, you had 25.1 million in cash. Your deferred outflows of resources were 1,489,472. Both of these have to do with your pension and then your other post-employment benefit, which is retirement. So that deferred outflow pension related, 1.3 million, that's really a prepaid contribution. So the employees and the employer give from January 1 through September 30th, and that is included in this number here.
Page are you on now?
I'm sorry, page 14. I flipped back. So again, you had total assets of 42.3 million, 25.1 of that is in cash and investments. Your liabilities were 16.5 million. You did have withdrawals in excess of deposits, and these were in specific accounts like special revenue accounts of 129,000. Your non-current liabilities, you have little over 6 million in debt, and then you have compensated absences of 136,000, and then other post-employment benefit liability of 625,000. This number will continue to go up. Your deferred inflows of resources, these are basically your investment income, and it's amortized over a 7-year period, the investment income for your pensions. So your net position at the end of the year was almost 2 million. You have 14.6 million that's unrestricted. Now that's on the full accrual basis. On page 18, these are your modified accrual statements. This is how you budget. You will not see any debt. You will not see fixed assets. You will not see your net pension, no accumulated depreciation, no retirement benefits. It's just a modified accrual. So your current resources are what's used to pay. And again, this is the way you budget. So if you look at your total assets, you'll also notice that your funds are separated. So you have a general fund, a road and bridge, debt service, and then your special revenue funds. So you have, again, total assets of $29,400,000. Of that, you still have $25.1 million in cash. What's important to note is in your general fund, you have $21.8 million in cash. If you turn the page to 20 and 21, this is your governmental funds, liabilities, and fund balances. So again, you see no debt on this page. If you look at the second column, the first column, total liabilities, you have 9.9 million. You'll notice that 8.9 million of that is in unearned revenue. That unearned revenue is basically your ARPA funds that have been unspent. So those are deferred until you spend it. So that makes up close to 9 million of your 25.1 in cash. Your total deferred inflows of resources, you have 2.5 million overall, but 2.2 million in the general fund. These are taxes that have not been collected, as well as court revenue. Your fund balance at the end of the year is 16.5 million overall. 12 million of that is in your general fund. Now, I want to point out that you have unassigned of close to $12 million in your general fund. So the good thing about that is you have enough money to fund in 2023, 3/4 of the year. Of course, you're past that, but.
Commissioners, I'd like to just remind you also that these numbers that she's presenting are as of 9/30/22. Yes.
So on page 23, your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for governmental funds. Now, again, this is how you budget your your revenues and expenditures on a modified accrual basis. So your total revenues overall are 25.9 million. Of that, 18.7 is in the general fund, and property taxes make up close to 17 million. In your current expenditures, you spent almost 16.8 million in the general fund, and then road and bridge, 5.4 million. Debt service, you paid off 592,000, and then your other non-major governmental funds, you spent close to 1.3 million. So you had an increase of revenues over expenditures of close to $2 million. If you turn the page 25, I want to point out the third line up. This is your net change in fund balance, and it's 1,846,000. So you increased your fund balance over the current year, 22, about $1,846,000, just in the general fund. Road and bridge, you had a loss of $140,622. Part of that was due to your funding or your match of the Volkswagen grant through the state. Your debt service has a small net change loss in fund balance. This is probably very good because you're a little overfunded in debt service. And then your other non-major governmental funds, you had a $287,180. So you went from 2.7 up to close to 3 million in that one. So overall, your 14.5 million went up to 16.5 million over the course of the year. On page 28 and 29, these are your custodial funds, and I'll just basically say that you have 2.7 million in those funds at the end of the year. These are trust accounts, tax assessor, collector, prepaids, court clerks. So these are really monies that don't belong to you. So I'll ask you just to flip back to page 54. So this is a statement of revenues and expenditures, and it has not only your budget to actual, but it also has your prior year, 2021. So if you look at your total revenues, you had actually budgeted to bring in the final number, close to 16.7 million. You had actually brought in a little over 18.7 million. So you had a favorable variance of 2,048,643. And if you want to look to where that variance really happened, it's in your grants and contributions. Your total expenditures, you had budgeted to spend 21.9 million, and you actually spent 16.7 million with a positive variance of 5,167,000. Compared to last year, you spent almost 16 million, so you were 750,000 higher than you were in the prior year. On page 55, this is your road and bridge fund, and again, this is how you budgeted and the prior year. So total revenues were budgeted 5.5 million. You actually brought in 5.3 million. The interfund revenues and grants really where you brought in slightly less, but this is where one of your grants shows up. Your expenditures in that fund were 5.3 million, and you actually budgeted 5.7 million, so you had a positive variance of 356,000. Compared to last year, you spent almost 4.7 million. So you had a net change in fund balance of a negative 140,622, and again, a big part of that was that match on the Volkswagen grant. I think the only other items that I'd like to go over is you did have a state grant, and that state grant falls under the state of Texas funds for federal or reporting for federal funds. You actually had expenditures of state awards of $959,652, and the bulk of that was in your Texas Volkswagen Environmental Mitigation Program, and that you spent $728,000. I do have a couple letters, and I don't know if you had these in the packets. Yeah. Okay. So I want to say that there was really good improvement over the past year. I don't know who of you all were on last year's, but we did have a hard transition from FI, or the one version of FI, to another during the course of the audit last year, and I think that's continued a little bit going into this year. So on page 3 of the governance letter, and this would be the letter that's stapled together, I do want to tell you that we have a couple unadjusted misstatements, $8,990 that incurred in the prior year were recognized in the current year. And then in general fund, current year expenditures of $40,891 will be recognized in 2023. We did significant adjustments to the beginning balance in order to correctly state several balances, including fund balance. The bulk of this occurred because one of the accounts was set up not as a liability, but as a revenue. So when it rolled forward, it rolled into revenue or rolled into fund balance instead of the liability. So it should have stayed in the liability. It was just a classing problem when they set up the accounts. And then we reclassed revenue and expense activities, reclassed property tax allocations, corrected transfers and due tos and due froms, grants receivable to recognize correct balance at year end, and then deferral of the American Rescue Plan for unused funds. Again, I think there was significant improvement over the course of the year. We do have some comments. During the audit procedures, we had several opportunities that we felt you could improve. One of them is fixed asset tracking. You don't have a formal capitalization policy. It should be established. Recording of property and equipment, as well as the annual depreciation. The purchasing agent should add, delete new and old equipment as it's purchased or disposed. Should be maintained throughout the year on an ongoing basis. And you should establish a reasonable minimum threshold for identifying fixed assets. I think it would be easier if you tracked these through the capital outlay account. And you probably want to do a spot check during the year. There were 15 instances in which vehicles on the insurance policy were not on the depreciation schedule. So again, we recommend that you review the insurance policy and compare it to assets insured to make sure all assets are covered and that they are now paying for items that have been, not paying for items that have been sold or disposed of. So grant activity, restricted revenues and liabilities. We noted that there were several grant revenues and expenses, as well as restricted revenue accounts recorded as liabilities. This could result in revenues and expenses being understated and liabilities being overstated. Additionally, liabilities correctly recorded to be remitted to the state may not be paid timely due to the commingling of these accounts. So basically, we think that you should separate revenues and expenditures accounts for the funds received so you can recognize the correct information during the year. General ledger accounts not reconciled to underlying subsidiary. The county is charged with maintaining records of the county financial transactions, including general ledger. We noted some balance sheet accounts are not being reconciled to supporting subledgers and accounts. This includes receivables, liabilities. So the appropriate department and personnel, purchasing agent, grant coordinator, and then audited, they should audit and reconcile the GL by the county auditor's office. So if you have something outstanding and you notice it's not recorded on the financial statements, you might want to bring it to the attention. You do have a lot of information going through these accounts. So for instance, things like the Volkswagen grant or some other things. Allocation of ad valorem tax. I do want to say there was a lot of improvement in this area. So you have to transfer it based on the ordinance. As a result, it may not be stated correctly by fund. So overall, it's stated correctly, but it may not be, it was not stated correctly between debt and general fund. So we need to kind of do a little better job on that. Fund balance transactions, you do still have some transactions going through fund balance. Also, I think I discussed the revenue account, the misclassification of the deferred revenue for ARPA funds. So those funds were recorded in an account type called revenue rather than deferred revenue. So it showed that you had earned these funds, whereas you hadn't because you haven't spent them yet. So your financials were a little bit misleading. Court receivables, so we had 7 instances in which tickets were dismissed, but the balance for the ticket was still on the system. As a result, the balance of the court receivables could be overstated. I think we did a test of 25, so that's 7 out of 25. The county should review all dismissed, disposed tickets and verify that the associated balances are no longer still in the system. And then,
Debbie, I'm sorry, were those JP court or county court?
I believe
The 7
JP Court.
instances.
Oh, I'll have to get back to you. They were, I think they were throughout. It wasn't indicative of only one JP Court. The function of the county auditor's office. So they're required to do a number of audits, internal audits throughout the year. I do want to say that although they didn't hit everything that they should have covered, they did make a great improvement over the course of the year. They audited the treasurer, the sheriff, JP 2 and 4, and Road and Bridge 2 and 4. So there was quite a big improvement there because those audits hadn't happened for, I think, 2 or 3 years. So the only other comment I have is this material weakness. The bank reconciliations aren't being performed on a timely manner. It's done by use of journal entries. And by doing so, management may be incorrectly recording revenues and expenses, and additionally presents an opportunity for fraudulent activity to occur. Now, I'm saying that, but we did not see any evidence of fraudulent activity. The responsibility of the county auditor is to audit the reconciliation and tie the balance back to the trial balance after the reconciliation is performed. I know that they are having a meeting with FI this afternoon because I think Christina thinks there's some issues. But for instance, you did have differences still in your reconciliations for April, May, June, July. So those really need to be reviewed more timely and up to date. So that one is the one that we are waiting a response to. And I think that response will probably happen after your meeting with FI. Again, we had 5 comments that were eliminated this year, and I would say that that is a huge improvement compared to the prior year. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we move back to regular order. Go to agenda item number 14. County Treasurer Christina Moose, discuss, take action on County Treasurer's financial report, so that will be agenda item 14A.
Yes, okay, I do apologize due to one thing that needs to be fixed in FI, that it was just a timing error last week with employees or people helping or doing it. I don't have August for you right now. Hopefully, I will have it for the next Commissioners Court or the end of November when I normally report. At that time, I will probably have 2 months presented because of the one I'm missing right now. But as soon as that is cleared up today, then it will be good to go. And to explain in detail, let y'all know as far as balancing, her reference is the difference when it comes to GL. The beginning balances match, the ending balances match, as well as the cleared debits and cleared credits. Credits and debits all jive, all match. It's at the end of the time with this issue that I'm taking on with FI, the GL is just off. But to know when I'm reporting to y'all, everything is matching to the penny on our bank statement with the bank in our system.
And that was a question we're gonna ask you, you just answered.
Yes, everything to the penny is matching. It's just the GL that we're going to work on today and going forward until it's cleared up. And they do feel that it's something in the system that needs to be looked at somewhere along the way. It just needs to be fixed. But yes, it is to the penny every time I report to y'all. But if y'all do have any questions, any other ones regarding that, any information she stated.
Okay, do we have a financial report?
No, she's.
No, that's it. That's the one. Yes, I will
I
present.
know I just saw one emailed to me. Was that, no, never mind. That was another, that's not something else. Sorry.
Probably that.
A lot of emails came in this week. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah,
Okay,
I believe the investment policy's next.
Yes, and that I do have for y'all. Of course, that is to be reviewed yearly.
so Christina, hold on. So
Yes, sir.
What you want to do is, we're going to discuss the financial report next meeting?
Next Commissioners Court, I will send you an agenda approval to be put on for that one to discuss my
So, For
August.
the record, for the minutes, 14A, we're discussing,
Yes, I do not have a report at this time.
very good, okay. All right, 14B.
Okay, so what you have presented to you is the investment policy for review annually. I know for the ones that weren't here last year, nothing did change from last year in the investment policy. I will state that there were a few things in the years past, but other than that, it's basically going over what I'm required to present, do our investment procedures, the scope of it, you name it. So if y'all have any questions, I will be happy to answer those.
Commissioners, that's not an action item, but I'll open the floor up to discussion for Ms. Moots if you have a question.
I am presenting, obviously, according to the investment report that I do give quarterly, does go inside with the investment policy that we have for Wilson County.
Actually, doesn't this have to be approved annually?
Yes.
Yeah, so we do need to.
Is it yeah, it's a discuss in action. I'm sorry if you didn't say that. I missed that. Does it say it on the agenda?
Everybody had the chance to look at it, or you want to put that off for approval next Commissioners' meeting? 'Cause
Well, there's a line item, it doesn't say
it
take
doesn't say
action,
take action.
so we'll have
Okay.
to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
then you'll
read
have-
through it. We'll push
Yeah.
it forward to the next agenda. Ms. Huron, you've already looked at it? No. Okay, so I want to make
Yeah.
sure the county attorney sees that before
Okay.
we move on to a vote for that, okay?
And that's my
I'll
apologies
read
with it not changing from last year. I didn't resend it this year. That's my apologies.
Not a problem. We'll take care of that.
She's gonna send me,
Oh,
she's gonna send me.
yes, I will email it to you.
Yeah, fine.
So that is all I have to report for this one, which is limited.
Thank you, Ms. Moots. Thank you. Agenda item number 15, we have Jalen Bodiford, our Human Resource Specialist, presentation of payroll and personnel changes.
Good morning. Colton Ross was hired as the Assistant IT Director for the IT Department, making $54,500 annually, effective October 16th. Norma Posadas was hired as a Corrections Officer for the Sheriff's Department, making $18.93 per hour, or $41,346.40 annually, effective October 20th. Simon Cardenas was hired as a Maintenance Supervisor for the Maintenance Department, making $20.32 per hour, or $42,260.40 annually, effective November 7th. Tammy Burleson resigned from her position as the Permits and Development Director, effective October 16th. Alfred Flores was terminated from his position as the Jail Maintenance for the Sheriff's Department, effective October 10th. And Bradley Douthwaite was terminated from his position as a Corrections Officer for the Sheriff's Department, effective October 10th. Grace Roth retired from her position as a jail cook for the Sheriff's Department, effective October 31st, 2023. She retired with 10 years of service for Wilson County. It's actually more than that because she's come and gone. I think she's retired actually a few times. So I think it was somewhere in the realm of 20-something years. I think you're right.
Any questions for Ms. Bodiford? Thank you, ma'am. We move to agenda item 16. We have Brenda Trevino, County Auditor, to discuss and take action on county bills.
I've reviewed and approved $281,797 and
2 pennies. I think we all received this Thursday, didn't we not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've reviewed it. Okay. Make sure that's this thing. All right, Commissioner, I'll give you a couple more minutes and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Second. He beat me.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Perdola on agenda item 16. Is there any other discussion? Yeah, I want to say thank you for getting it to us on Thursday or Friday. We did Thursday, and I get to review it before I get in here, so just so the audience knows I have read every page of that, so. Is there no other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. Move to agenda item number 17. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Commissioner King,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? We are adjourned. Okay. Okay.
Did we actually accept the
Can't go on vacation.
rules and procedures for? We moved to another action item in the middle of that, so we didn't really,
It would be political posturing
At the last meeting?
to abstain
because
from
we
adjournment.
said that.
Now, we had August,
Yeah, a couple.
but I thought she said she had September, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's not in here.
Already implemented there
Because it was right after this one in here. I think they were implemented by.
at the review. Okay.
Because
I guess,
I went looking for this same
What
page.
we want to do is we want
And
to get
it's not-
I didn't know if we
TA
need,
22
I didn't know if we
adopted
needed to
before he
approve them here.
approves his application.
Did you see a September in your packet, or did you just see
And that's the
that
thing is, I'm sure there's questions and
whenever a report came from the treasurer?
I did not,
August and September and judges.
I think she was apologizing because she didn't have a report for us, and she will have it for us at the next.
No, not the treasurer, I'm talking about the tax assessor collector, this one, I didn't have September. Anyways,